Why did the United States use such overwhelming force against Japan at the end of World War II? To really get it, we have to rewind a bit. The conflict in the Pacific was brutal. It started for the U.S. on December 7, 1941, with the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. This single event pulled a hesitant America directly into the war and created a powerful resolve to see it through to the end. For the next 4 years, the fighting across the Pacific was some of the most ferocious in history. Island by island, U.S. forces fought their way closer to Japan in battles like Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa. These battles were incredibly costly. The Japanese military fought with a fierce, no-surrender mentality. At Okinawa, for example, the fighting was so intense that it resulted in over 100,000 Japanese casualties and nearly 50,000. For the Allies, U.S. military planners looked at these numbers and grew deeply concerned. They were planning a full-scale invasion of the Japanese mainland, codenamed Operation Downfall. Projections for this invasion were terrifying. Military leaders estimated that an invasion could lead to anywhere from 500,000 to over 1 million American casualties, and potentially millions of Japanese casualties, including many civilians who were being trained to fight with basic weapons. The thinking was that if the fighting on small islands was this bad, an invasion of the home islands would be a bloodbath on an unimaginable scale. Meanwhile, a top-secret project was underway in the United States, the Manhattan Project. Scientists had been working around the clock to develop a new, terrifyingly powerful weapon, the atomic bomb. By the summer of 1945, the bomb was ready. On July 16th, the first successful test, Trinity, lit up the New Mexico desert. Now, President Harry Truman, who had just taken office after Franklin D. Roosevelt's death, had a new, difficult choice to make. He and his advisors saw the atomic bomb as a potential way to end the war, quickly and avoid the massive casualties of an invasion. The goal was to shock the Japanese leadership into surrendering. They issued the Potsdam Declaration, calling for Japan's unconditional surrender and warning of prompt and utter destruction if they refused. Japan's government, however, didn't accept the terms. So, on August 6, 1945, the Enola Gay dropped an atomic bomb on the city of Hiroshima. The devastation was immense. Yet, even after this, Japan's War Council remained divided and did not surrender. 3 days later, on August 9th, a second atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. On the same day, the Soviet Union, honoring an agreement with the Allies, declared war on Japan and invaded Manchuria, which was another huge blow. Faced with this overwhelming combination of a new, devastating weapon and the entry of another major power into the war against them, Emperor Hirohito finally intervened. On August 15th, he announced Japan's surrender, officially ending World War II. The decision to use the atomic bombs is still one of the most debated topics in history. Some argue it was a necessary evil to save lives that would have been lost in an invasion. Others believe it was an unnecessary act that targeted civilians and that other options, like a continued blockade or a demonstration of the bomb's power, could have worked. There's no simple answer, and historians continue to analyze the motives and alternatives. It was a decision made under immense pressure, with the weight of millions of lives hanging in the balance. Understanding this moment means looking at the brutal context of the war and the terrifying calculations leaders were forced to make.